The Young and the Restless spoilers. Billy Abbott found himself standing in the middle of yet another storm. It wasn't the first time he had felt the weight of familial expectations crushing down on him, but this time it was different. His mother, Jill Abbott, was on the verge of returning, and with her return came the ever-present sense of control she seemed to exert over his life, especially when it came to Chancellor Abbott. Billy had fought long and hard to prove himself, to step out of the shadows of his family's legacy and make his own way. But it seemed like Jill had other plans. Jill's love for her son was undeniable, but it often manifested in ways that felt more like suffocation than affection. For Jill, Billy's potential was something to be nurtured, guided, sometimes with a firm hand. She believed that she knew what was best for him and the company, and she wasn't about to let Billy's stubborn streak ruin what she had spent a lifetime building. Billy, on the other hand, felt like a man cornered. Chancellor Abbott was his domain now, and he had worked hard to make his mark. He and Phyllis Summers, a woman with whom he had developed a complicated partnership, were making strides in the company. Together they were a formidable team, pushing boundaries and seeing real results. But Jill, as always, had her opinions. She had made it clear upon her impending return that she had no place for Phyllis at Chancellor Abbott. To Jill, Phyllis represented chaos, instability, everything that Billy needed to avoid. Instead, Jill wanted Lily Winters back in the fold, someone she trusted to bring balance and reason to Billy's sometimes erratic leadership. Jill had always seen Lily as a calming force, a reliable presence who could help steer Billy in the right direction. But Billy wasn't having it. The idea of firing Phyllis at his mother's insistence, and worse, bringing Lily back, felt like betrayal, both to himself and to the work he had put into the company. His relationship with Phyllis, while unconventional and often turbulent, had a rhythm that worked. They challenged each other in ways that made their partnership dynamic, productive, and in Billy's eyes, essential to Chancellor Abbott's growth. He wasn't about to throw that away just because his mother said so. Lily, though once an important figure in his life, had become something of a thorn in his side. Their falling out had been bitter, and Billy saw her as a source of division rather than unity. She had, in his mind, twisted the truth, painting him as the reckless, irresponsible son who couldn't handle his own affairs. Billy believed that Lily had fed Jill lies that had turned his mother against him in subtle but damaging ways. The worst part? He feared that Jill believed her. Lily's influence had made Jill see him as nothing more than a reckless gambler, incapable of running a company without her constant supervision. Billy wasn't about to stand for it. He had worked too hard to let Lily undermine him any further. He decided, perhaps rashly, to cut ties with Jill altogether. No more phone calls, no more emails. He needed space to breathe, to run Chancellor Abbott the way he saw fit, without his mother's constant interference. It felt like a bold move, a declaration of independence, but deep down, it also stung. Billy loved his mother, he always had, but her insistence on controlling his every decision felt more like a cage than care. Jill, however, was not a woman who backed down easily. To her, Billy's defiance was not just a rejection of her guidance, it was a cry for help, a sign that he was spiraling again, making the same mistakes that had cost him so much in the past. She believed in tough love, and if cutting Billy off from his bad decisions was what it took, then she was prepared to do it. In her eyes, Phyllis was a bad influence, a whirlwind of chaos, and Jill wasn't about to let her son be dragged down by it. The issue with Lily, however, was more personal for Billy. He couldn't shake the feeling that Lily had been the one to drive a wedge between him and his mother, even if indirectly. He saw her as a virus infecting the family dynamic, someone who had whispered the wrong things into Jill's ear, poisoning her mind against him. Billy wanted his mother to see the truth, to understand that Lily wasn't the solution. She was the problem. He needed Jill to see that he wasn't the same reckless man he had once been, that he had grown, evolved, and was capable of leading without her constant supervision. In a moment of frustration, Billy made up his mind. He would bring Jill back to face Lily head-on. If Lily wanted to play mind games, Billy was ready to call her bluff. He wasn't going to stand by and let her manipulate the situation any further. He had already lost too much time and energy dealing with her, and now it was time to put an end to it. Billy reached for his phone, debating whether or not to call Jill and tell her everything. He wanted to tell her how Lily had twisted the truth, how she had made him seem like a failure in his own mother's eyes. He wanted Jill to see that Phyllis was the right person to stand by his side at Chancellor Abbott, not Lily. But Jill's return came with its own set of complications. Jill was fierce, and once she set her sights on something or someone, she wouldn't stop until she had it her way. Billy knew that if he convinced his mother that Lily was a threat, Jill would waste no time in taking action, and Jill was not someone you wanted to be on the wrong side of. Lily, for all her strengths, had never faced the full wrath of Jill Abbott. Billy knew that if he unleashed his mother on her, there would be no turning back. Jill was protective of her family, and if she believed that Lily was trying to tear them apart, she would crush her without a second thought.